In this example, we look at the assessor functionality and the access levels that they have to the system. To demonstrate this, I'll log in as Rachel Taylor, who has been set up as an assessor. When the assessor logs in, they also have access to the student interface, so they'll be able to complete any training and competence requirements they've been allocated to. Most importantly, be able to change roles in the system by clicking in the top right-hand corner and accessing the assessor functionality and interface. Once the assessors switch to that role, they'll be able to see all of the competencies that students have applied for assessment on. In this example, Rachel is an assessor for John Smith, so the requirements that we applied for assessment earlier, they'll be visible on the screen. The assessor will also see on competence levels where verification issues have been found. So if the verifier wasn't happy with the assessment and selected gaps identified, that will then pull back through here for the assessor. The interface itself is designed to be very easy to use for the assessor, so most of the functionality or options that they need will be visible on the screen. And from here, they can click Needs Assessment to access the application. They will then see a very similar screen that the student was able to see. They'll have access to the core expectation, the behaviour, the knowledge and understanding descriptions, along with the individual level descriptions and the required level for the candidate. Towards the bottom, they'll see the assessment outcome, suggested evidence, and the relevant summary statement. So if the student added that comment, it will be visible here for the assessor. They can also add notes to the assessment if they wanted to add further information so that the verifier could see that, or supply any further information to support this assessment. They can add the information in this text box here. And they can also review the evidence that was submitted by the candidate towards the bottom. The assessor has access to download that evidence and ultimately approve or reject individual pieces of evidence. The assessor has access to both the approve and reject button. If the assessor rejects evidence, that doesn't determine the full status of the competence requirement. It will just approve or reject that individual piece of evidence. So if the student was to submit a bit of evidence that wasn't required or surplus requirements, they could reject it, but still mark the candidate as competent on this level. In this example, I'll approve the evidence, and you'll see the status now changing to approved. The assessor also has the access to upload additional evidence to support the application for the student, so they can add that from their own evidence locker, or they can upload a document that they've maybe got stored in their computer. Again, these interfaces look the same as a student. They can select the file when it was generated and click Save. In the middle of the screen, the assessor is able to deem the candidate competent or select gaps identified. If the assessor selects gaps identified, they'll be able to select at which competence level that the student is currently at below the level that has been required. They'll also be able to add any feedback they wish to submit to the student, maybe where they're asking for more evidence to be provided. The system will add a generic statement here. The assessor can edit that and click Send. That would then change the status of this requirement to gaps identified and reopen it for the student to add further evidence before applying for assessment again. The other option is to select the candidate as competent. Here, the assessor will be able to mark the competence as approved, and ultimately this will mark the requirement as green and complete in the system, and this will be visible in reports. In this section, the assessor can also deem the candidate as competent at a higher level than was originally required. So if the level required was 3, this assessor could actually mark the candidate as competent at level 4. Here, you'll see that the status is now changed to approved. The assessor, just like the student, also has access to the comments box, so if they want to add further information to the user or have a conversation back and forward, they'll be able to post a message to the student here. The assessor can also navigate along the tabs at the top, so the first screen that we logged into was the assessment tabs. The assessor also has access to the candidates tab here. Any student that they've been allocated to an assessor for, they'll be able to view their assessment plans, create assessment plans, and also open the student's evidence locker. From here, the assessor will be able to actually use evidence from the student's evidence locker on multiple pieces or multiple requirements. So if we use the observation statement that the student added, as the assessor, we can actually add that to the different requirements and save that. So that'll add it for them. So we can kind of bulk upload as the assessor to the student's requirements. You can also create a further plan for the student. So you can create another trip plan, for example, adding in a description, a start date, and an end date. And from here, the assessor will be able to select which competencies from the requirements they want the student to focus on. So we can select different requirements here and then click Save. The assessor will have access to print that plan off if they're looking to have that as a paper copy. And that will now pull through for the user profile. The assessor also has access to the Competence Overview tab. Here they'll be able to see all of the assessments or competencies that they've been added to an assessor for. You can click on each requirement and get a breakdown of the number of users that they can assess, who has completed it, possibly who's expired and not yet competent, access any support material documentation to help them with the requirement, and also get a list of the users that they're able to assess for this competence and the status for that as well. And you can view that application from the screen. Where a verifier is selected that there's been issues found with their competence, they'll also pull through to this home screen. So the assessor can click on this and they will receive two further options on this requirement now that verification issues have been found. So they can send the competence back to the student by selecting gaps identified that allow the student to add further evidence, or the assessor can select issues resolved if they want to resubmit this for verification if they think they've actually ironed out any of the issues that were added. The verifier's comments will be visible at the top, and in this case, as the assessor needs to approve the evidence at the bottom that has been provided, you can click Approved and click that the issues have now been resolved, and again select at which competence level they believe the candidate is competent. That will now change the status to be approved, and the verifier will be able to verify this competence requirement again.